So my background was nursing. I'm a licensed nurse, but in this role, I'm functioning as a certified functional nutrition coach. And what I found is that as a nurse, been a nurse for 18 years, was that I knew how to take care of patients when they were sick. I knew how to save their lives. I worked in ICU, did a lot of end of life care. But then I thought to myself, I don't even know how to keep myself from getting sick. Um, and so then I challenged myself to go and learn more about nutrition. In all of my education, nutrition had just been basics, things to educate patients on during their discharge or whatnot. But it wasn't in depth nutrition that was going to change their lives. And so that's where I found myself down the path of functional nutrition. Why functional nutrition is really focused on the whole patient, looking at them holistically, their whole lifestyle. We look at the individual biochemistry of the patients. We want them to focus on whole foods where you're getting that nutrient dense, optimal support for body function. We do a lot of focusing on gut health because if your gut isn't healthy, you can't absorb the nutrients to begin with. Then we look at the nutritional deficiencies that each individual might have and lifestyle factors that are affecting their overall health, their diet, and whatnot. So I think that functional approach and that functional medicine background that leads into this functional nutrition is really the foundation to set somebody up to become a healthier version of themselves. So really, the functional nutrition piece is helpful for everybody to become that healthier version of themselves. We always start with the gut health because if the gut isn't healthy, you can't absorb the nutrients. What it isn't though, so if you go or you think about, I don't know, being in the hospital or asking for, a diet plan from somebody where they're just giving you foods to eat, we're actually looking at cleaning up your whole diet. What can we remove? And starting from a foundation. So it is a process. It's not a one visit, solve all the solutions. It's a process of removal, gaining back that healthy state where you can now absorb the nutrients and then working on adding to your diet. Functional nutrition is definitely available for everybody. It's something that I've become passionate about because I really do see how it changes our bodies, our overall lifestyle. But specifically for what we're targeting here is looking to see how those considerations help cancer patients. And I think cancer really touches everybody today. Everybody has been either diagnosed with cancer themselves or a family member or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer. And they unfortunately go through a lot of health conditions or states that are very hard for them to overcome, whether it's managing symptoms of their treatment, symptoms of chemotherapy, radiation, if it's the overall fatigue, the nutrients that they're losing during the treatment because of their inability to eat or eat well. So I think that's where we really want to focus and target the support for these patients. If you need credentials, I am a doctorate of nursing practice, an adult health clinical nurse specialist, and then I have the certified functional nutrition counselor certification, which is what I focus on here. So I can't, depending on the situation, I may or may not be able to act as a nurse in that role. So I have to be careful. So in this situation, it'll be a certified functional nutrition counselor. But when people go into cancer treatment, they have really optimal goals and visions of what they're actually going to go through. But they don't necessarily realize the whole toll that it's going to take on their body. We often, we want to have that positive outlook and stay in that zone, but what they really go through is pretty difficult for each individual patient, but also their families. So I think a lot of that actually plays into their diet and the treatments that they undergo. So through this functional nutrition, we want to give them all the resources to support their diet and keep them as healthy as possible during the treatment and then also following the treatment, to give them the stamina to deal with the long-term result of having had cancer. Cancer today isn't necessarily the same lifespan that it was. It's now a chronic illness, just like we see people with diabetes and hypertension. They're living a lot longer, but you do have the side effects and challenges that are ongoing. So common things that we work with patients who are undergoing these challenges really is, managing their fatigue. And that's by working on their diet. Do they have enough carbohydrates in their diet? Are they the right carbohydrates? Looking at their iron levels, vitamin levels, all of that to see if we can help support them in those deficiencies. If it's things like nausea, vomiting, different foods that we can bring in, or electrolytes that are helpful to manage that. And when we really clean up the gut and you get that good absorption of nutrients, then we can start to see positive changes. Support healing and recovery. So really during your cancer treatment, your body's demand for nutrients is a lot higher because you are in need of tissue repair and recovery throughout those treatments, whatever the treatments are. So those nutrients are really important in the healing process. And that's things like protein or omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, that we want to make sure somebody is able to absorb and eat so that they can have the best outcome and tissue repair throughout the process. And then you see how much, if you're even watching documentaries that are out there or reading books, nutrition really is that foundation to help keep people well and from getting cancer in the first place. Everything in our environment that we interact with every day is really a high risk for cancer or an increased risk for cancer. So doing what we can to keep us healthy inside is our best defense. The other thing that we want to focus on is keeping patients hydrated. Sometimes this is overlooked, but hydration is really essential for maintaining health and well-being. Our cells throughout our body are primarily water. And so when they don't have that water, they don't have the optimal functional capacity. So you're not getting that cellular function that we want. And it also is significant in cleaning out the toxins through our body, getting rid of that, all of what we take in during the treatments, managing side effects. A lot of side effects like dry mouth, constipation, kidney strain from the medications that patients get are all influenced by their levels of hydration. So really, fluid intake has a huge impact on managing symptoms. And then really, once you're in treatment, everything is medication. Then if you're not managing the side effects with food or diet, then you're managing them with more medications. And when you keep on adding all of those medications, all you're getting is more side effects. I think that is, for me, having that healthcare background, the hardest part is that from the healthcare in general, we medicate. And we medicate on top of medication, and then it just complicates the situation. Then you're treating the side effects of the medication and not the real problem. And that's where I found the love in the functional nutrition is we're aiming at the real problems, not just treating the symptoms. But it's becoming more and more prevalent. And I really think this specific patient population that is seeking treatments outside of the norm and something like theranostics are the same people that are probably willing to focus on the functional nutrition aspect versus your patients that do just want medications, because there's that population too. but sometimes doing the best thing isn't always the quickest and easiest thing. So it's really understanding that it's a process to work through. It's not a quick fix. Um, but I also think that's what makes it more sustainable because you're really changing your overall habits. And once you do that and you feel the benefits of it, yes, you can cheat and you're going to eat something out of the diet. We all have to be realistic, but it doesn't make you feel the same way as it did when you were not at that optimal state. Once you're in that state of wellness and you really feel the benefits of the nutrition, you want to go back to it. You'll feel better. You see that result and you have that overall feeling of wellness or lack of fatigue. That state of energize that you didn't have before. And it doesn't always have to be hard work. It could be something as simple as walking. I mean, that's one of the best things, best exercises that we can encourage patients to do. Unfortunately, what you see on the healthcare side is people get sick, we stay in bed, we eat what's comfort food versus what our body really needs. And so it's working with people to understand why they need to change that to help prevent or alleviate those side effects of what they're going through. There is no one size fits all to this. So it's, when we have our first consultation, it's going to be going over this comprehensive review of the client's overall health, and then creating a diet plan that's really specific to their needs and their side effects and what treatments they're undergoing. So, if they're just coming out of surgery, or recovering from intensive treatments, then we're going to look at something that's more rehabilitative, or replenishing. If they have a lot of side effects from chemotherapy, it might be more nausea management. If people have, mouth sores or difficulty swallowing, then we're going to want to look for foods that are soft, easy to chew. And then making sure that because we're choosing those foods, we're still getting enough protein in their diet. So how can we do that? What are we adding as far as fruits and vegetables or vitamin supplements to reach what we really desire? We would work with their primary physician or the oncologist. If they have lab work, we can start from there and work off of it. But it's really through a lot of conversations. You can get a lot of this information based on talking to them about their current state of health and their current diet, eliminating and then building, getting them to a state of proper gut health by understanding what they're actually eating and taking in, and then going from there. So it's a series of multiple consultations of sitting with the client and working through that. So in general, I'd say it's at least 3 visits with me when we're working through coming up with a plan so that I can understand what is actually their need. What's really great about Christine and I and where we've come from is that all we've really cared about is doing the right thing for patients or clients. And it's really about getting them the support they need. I think even as a nurse, just to watch people seeking information and not getting it from those around me was very frustrating. I went into healthcare because that is who I am as a person and I care. And I don't think I could do anything outside of that, because that's just what I fall to, is trying to help people and help them feel better regardless of what that situation looks like. Managing their appetite or ability to eat certain foods can be a focus. Often it's smaller, more frequent meals. A lot of clients really can't handle that full stomach when they're going through treatments. They get that nauseous symptom or It could even lead to diarrhea, things like that, loss of appetite. So we really want to help them eat frequent meals so it's more relaxing. It actually provides more consistent energy over a longer period of time. It can help them feel less overwhelmed by the prospect of eating. Sometimes patients don't necessarily feel like they want to eat, but making it small foods that are something that tastes good to them can help with that. Really does help to manage nausea um, in that situation. Growing up, I always wanted to go into medicine. I don't know that I ever really wanted to do anything else. That has been my goal. I thought I wanted to go to medical school, but ultimately I chose nursing because I felt like that's where I really got to interact with people. Um, the truth is, most situations I've been in an acute care hospital for many years or majority of my career, and the doctors come and go, and nurses are who take care of the patient. So that is me as a whole. What brought me here is that back in 2012, I lost three family members, my grandma, grandpa, and my dad, all within the same year, and two of them due to cancer. So it was really personal. My dad died of pancreatic cancer, and we actually did not know until autopsy. And for me, that was really hard because I thought, even as a healthcare professional and kind of fighting with the system, I couldn't save him. I knew there were things wrong. I was working with his primary care. I would call and schedule appointments and try to get him in for to be seen or get him to go to the ER, different things. And even with my background, I couldn't save him in the end. And so I feel for patients or clients that don't have my knowledge or somebody in the family that has that knowledge, how do they even stand a chance? And so I think what Christine and I really envision is what doesn't exist so much in healthcare anymore. As the system has changed, everything is becoming more of an institution. And that personalization in healthcare, that hand holding, doesn't exist anymore in the way that people really need. And people need that support, and it's just not something you can find. Most places operate out of a system of productivity and how do we save money. And what we envision is to really support patients and give them the support they need throughout their entire treatment. When you're being treated for any illness, whether it's cancer is probably one of the biggest ones, you have so many doctors that you're going to who don't speak to each other. So you go to one consultation here and another one here in this office, and they may or may not be great at giving report to each other or updating each other on what is actually happening. And I think that's where people get and family members get very frustrated. The sooner we get started, the better patients are going to feel, or clients are going to feel off the bat. And if they're starting early in their treatment, then they're going to have that additional immune support that they need to undergo all the treatments that they're going to undergo. And they're going to have this piece of knowing what to eat and what to fall back on when they are feeling down in the dumps or when they do have fatigue. Um, and so by starting early, we get them the resources that they need, that they have options versus waiting till later when they have gone months or sometimes even years with lack of nutrients in their body. So that's a lot harder to fill the gap and get them to a place of optimal wellness than it is if we start early and prevent that breakdown. Yes, step one is calling Christine. From there, we will make sure that you do each client and their family have the nutritional consult. And the reason I do mention the family is that they are a vital support team in this treatment process, and they also, need to be involved in cooking and meal planning and ensuring that their loved one is getting the food and nutrients that they need to get through this. They
So,
become caregivers that step in and have to really, get everyone through the process. So it's a whole family support system that is needed. And our goal is to really walk them through that and make sure that they have the support that truthfully the healthcare system doesn't entirely provide.